Good afternoon. My name is Miguel. I'm a member of the board of directors of CFA Society Portugal, and I'll be the host of this event. The goal of this event is to discuss the profession of private banking. And by learning from the experience of our three guests, we will try to understand, among other things, what is private banking, which services does it provide, what challenges does it face, what skills a private banker needs to have, and so on and so forth. I would like to thank all the attendees, also the 7 affiliated universities for partnering up with us in the promotion of this event, and of course the 3 speakers whom I will introduce in a few seconds. And I'd like to thank them for generously taking time from their busy agendas to participate in this event. Before introducing our guests, I would like to encourage all of you to take the CFA. CFA, as probably all of you know, or most of you know, is a certification in financial analysis, and you become a CFA after taking the 3 exams. Nonetheless, you can also become a member of the institute. You don't become a CFA, but you can become a member of the institute and of local societies such ours, such as CFA Society Portugal, by passing CFA level 1, or actually by taking one of other exams. One of them is actually the self-administered CFA Standards of Practice. Is a way of you becoming a member of the society and of the institute without taking the exams. Well, we encourage you to take the CFA exams, and after passing the level 1 or one of those alternatives, you can become a member, and that's a great way for you to have access to contents, and have access to learning contents, and also have access to a network. It's by my personal experience, is a great way to learn and mainly to meet people. Let's start. So I would start with the most senior person, and when I mean by most senior is a person with more years of experience. Though it's pretty leveled up. They almost the 3 guests have more or less the same level, the same number of years of experience. João Caiano today is a managing partner at Task Wealth Management. He has 27 years of experience in wealth management and portfolio management, having worked parallel to Task at Grupo Novo Banco and Itong. Both were previously Grupo Espírito Santo, and also at BPI and AF Investimentos. He holds a bachelor in management from ISLA and a postgraduate degree in financial economics from Universidade Lusíada de Lisboa. He's a chartered financial analyst, CFA, and has been a member of the board of CFA Society Portugal since 2013. Our second guest is Sandra Costeira. Sandra Costeira has 26 years of experience, most of which in private banking and portfolio management, having worked prior to Credit Suisse. I forgot to say, Sandra is a director at Credit Suisse today at the private banking division. And prior to that, she worked at Grupo Novo Banco as well, again, previously called Grupo Espírito Santo, and also at BPI. And actually, she started her career as a corporate dealer at Grupo Amorim. She holds a degree in economics and management from Faculdade de Economia do Porto. She's also a chartered financial analyst, CFA, and was a member of the board of CFA Society Portugal between 2014 and 2022. Our third guest is Pedro Galvão. Is a team leader at the private banking division at Bankinter. Pedro has 22 years of experience in private banking and portfolio management, having worked before Bankinter at Santander and Grupo Caixa Geral de Depósitos. Pedro holds a degree in business from ISCTE, a master in finance from Universidade Católica, and a postgraduate degree in real estate management and valuation from ISEC. He's also a CFA, and he also holds a more recent certificate called the CFA ESG Investing. So everyone is introduced now. So let's start with a panel. I hope everyone enjoys it, and I hope that we can fulfill our goals of helping everyone to understand what private banking is. So, and that being said, I would start exactly with that question for all 3 of you. I'm not sure who wants to start. What is private banking, and what services you offer to our clients? and basically how do you make money as well, right? Probably with fees, but would like to hear that from you. Who wants to start? Caiano, João Caiano?
Yeah, I can start. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you all. Sandra, yeah, you're the lady in the room, so you can start, please.
No, João.
No, go on,
Okay,
go on.
I'll start. I believe there's some echo here. Sorry.
It's okay, we can hear you.
Okay, so thank you, CFA Society, for inviting me for this panel today, and good afternoon to everyone. So, what is private banking? I believe, shortly, private banking is giving access to the wealth clients, to giving access to them to utmost banking and financial services, and at the same time with an excellent service from the bankers. What I mean with the banking and financial services, I believe in private banking, clients have access to consultory services, to discretionary mandates, to lending, to all the instruments, all the complexity within financial markets they are offered, and they have access to. João, do you want to add something?
Yes, I think you said it. But also, private banking is about building relationships, between relationship managers as we are, and building relationships with clients and long-term relations. It's about trust. It's about building trust with clients. You don't build trust just right away. You build trust with years, of dealing with clients and dealing with their families and dealing with their sons. And so I think, of course, it's about financial services. It's about dealing with very wealthy people, but it's about trust and relationship. Because it's funny, but you can say sometimes that more about a certain client than sometimes his own family knows about him, because he basically throughout the years he tells you a little bit about his everything related to his life, because it's important. When you do consulting, when you do advisory service, to the clients, it's very important to know his background. It's very important to know, all his whereabouts, how does he, this family relates to him, his business, and also his personal life. So apart from, from the markets, from the portfolios, from the advisory service, from all that, that we know that, private banking is a little bit different than retail banking, because I think if you want to put it very short, I think retail banking is about products and private banking is about managing wealth. And so when you don't have products to sell, you basically manage the wealth of the client, or you help the client manage his own wealth. And so I think that's a lot of things. And then, of course, private banking is not exactly the same, in different institutions. Being a wealth manager, like, for example, I am, or being in a very, one of the main, banks that you are, Sandra, Credit Suisse. And so there's all these different services as private, but on a general term, I would highlight the building trust and the relationship with clients as a very important factor. So if you like to talk to people, if you like to gain confidence with people, because this will be a lot of your daily time will be about that. And so of course you have to follow the markets, you have to follow portfolios, you have to do advisory service. But I would highlight the relationship, the building relationship for a very, very, very long term.
So João and Sandra basically told the majority of what is private banking. Just a quick compliment. Basically, besides all of the managing of the financial assets of a client, the private banker should add, like João said, and look at the overall picture, and can, for instance, make the bridge with our corporate area of a bank, for the business side of the client, can take care of the planning of the real estate of the client in terms of the succession to his sons and daughters and so on. So it can be a much broader than just the retail banking. We should look at the whole picture of a client trying to give the best service possible.
Tax planning as well? Would that those services would include tax planning as well? Or
there are banks that do wealth planning, and there are some banks that don't provide that service. It effectively depends on the level of service of each bank. There are banks that, for instance, you can have health insurance to complement.
I'm sorry, I said taxation.
Taxation. It can be one of the services that the private banking can have.
And you mentioned the inheritance, that passing wealth to the sons and daughters, or other person. What exactly would you do? Like, what have you in mind when some client gets in front of you and say, oh, I'm concerned about I'm going to transfer my wealth to my heirs. What questions you make, and what are you looking for? What are you looking to understand?
Okay, I will start on this one. On the financial side of the services, basically there are several assets that are fiscally efficient and that make the fiscal planning much more easier, like life insurances, or PPRs and so on. So we can go through that side. We can make the bridge to a lawyer firm to take care of the rest. There are some banks that isn't the case of the bank where I'm working, that can have that kind of service directly and not through a lawyer's firm. So depending on the situation, we try to direct the client to the various ways to do that.
Got it. And when you do the wealth management, I'm guessing that you have to choose products to provide to your clients. Always has choice made, and actually, and this, I think this question is going to be different. The answer is going to be different. Maybe I would guess so. Not from João and from Pedro and Sandra, because João works is a managing partner at an independent wealth manager, and Pedro and Sandra work at private bankers that are within a very large banking institutions. And how does this choice is made? Like you are in front of a client and you have to decide which products or which assets you're going to buy. How do you get the
fit?
I would imagine. Sorry.
How do you fit the product in the client? Yeah, I would. Yeah. If I may, it's all about understanding very well the client, his or her needs, and the family, of course. We need in the very first beginning, we need to understand what is the time horizon of the clients, what are his or her risk appetite, risk return profile. We need to understand. Of course, nowadays we need to do a questionnaire of the client to clearly identify his or her investment profile. And once we've done that, and once again, as João was saying, it's all about trust. But of course, we need to fit each product for each client. Each client has his own life experience, his own needs, his own risk tolerance, his own return expectations. So even if a client is or is pretend to be very aggressive in terms of accepting volatility, we need to understand clearly if how is it, because of course all of us are very aggressive if when we have a bull market, but when we have a bear market it's different, as this year has shown, shown us all. Yeah, it's a good point, because even let's say for a balanced client with who can have medium risk tolerance, there's a lot of products in the market, so we need to spend time with the client, and there's clear understanding. And some clients have profiles that can go for discretionary mandates. For example, clients that are not so experts in the market, that have no expertise, we can direct them to discretionary mandates, which is one of the types which I particularly recommend. I was before I joined Credit Suisse, before I was a portfolio manager within discretionary mandates. But this is to say that some clients have a profile that they can have the bank on behalf of them managing their assets, or a portion of their assets, a bucket of their assets, fitting their risk return profile, and the other bucket being us, the relationship manager, advising them in more complex or not so complex products. Some clients have profiles that could enter in more sophisticated products, like, for instance, structured products or even private equity. So it really depends. Each client has his own needs. We need to clearly understand it, and the difficulty is to fit all the products that we have in the client that is in front of us. So I believe that we need to clearly understand the client. That's, once again, that's all about trust and build the relation and understand the client, even if it has children, if he doesn't have children, because if he's a young client, of course the time horizon is longer than for a older client. So everything, it's like a bespoke strategy for each client, I believe.
Michael, I would just like to add that we exclude completely the wealth planning and the tax services. And what we say to our clients is basically we prefer that they bring a tax advisor or a wealth advisor. You know, if we're starting to look at something regarding tax or something regarding inheritance, if he doesn't do that, we can obviously tell him, you know, some names that he can work with, because it's absolutely keen when you basically are looking to his wealth and to determine exactly, you know, what you can recommend or not, and what can the portfolio has or not, and what kind of structure. If he has a personal account, if he has like an insurance product, like some of you mentioned, and so if we have a tax advisor and a wealth planner advisor, I think it's much more easy if we think about inheritance and not being like, you know, the relationship manager telling him you should do that, because basically, you know, we are financial experts, we are not tax experts, we are not wealth planners experts. So, you know, and so basically we are tasked here. What we do is we build relationships with, you know, with tax advisors and with wealth advisors in the various countries we operate in, you know, and basically we operate mainly in Portugal, Greece, Brazil, and Argentina. And basically what we do is we try with the wealth planners and tax advisors really helping the client. But of course, it will be preferable if he brings his own tax advisor or wealth planner, and then together with him trying to basically, you know, I would say exclude some kind of, you know, let's say products or structures that for him do not suit. For example, just give a brief example. For example, for a Portuguese resident client who has an account in his own name, it doesn't look that wise to have a product that is from, for example, from Cayman Islands, because if that product pays income, it will get taxed higher. And if you sell that product, if you have a capital gain or if you have a capital loss on your tax return, you cannot compensate that without the capital gains or other capital losses in order to compensate on a tax return. So once again, I think bringing in a tax advisor or a wealth planner is always very wise in terms of, helping us to build a portfolio. And basically it's about excluding things. I don't think it's about, as Sandra mentioned. And I think the most important thing after that is basically, his time life, his risk tolerance, and also understanding a little bit what goes around him. If he needs his cash for his own day-to-day or for his company or, or for his kids or whatever.
You want to say something?
Just a quick compliment. So also very important in the first couple of meetings to understand the experience that a client has in the financial markets. Mm-hmm. And if he has went through big falls in the market and to losses, and how is his behavior in these kind of circumstances. And then obviously, like João told in the beginning, this is an ongoing process. So we probably aren't going to fit exactly the portfolio that the client would prefer, but as time goes by and as we will know more and more about the client, what he prefers, what kind. To give an example, we can have 20% in equities in US equities. We can have it directly through an ETF, through an investment fund, through a different structure. So depending on the perception that we will have of what the client likes the most, there are clients that like the most to have 10 stocks to follow them on a daily basis and see them. There are some clients that prefer a most cost-efficient ETF. There are some that prefer an investment fund. So as time goes by, we will understand more and more about the client, what he prefers. And basically our job is to learn more and more about the client and trying to fit the best products to what the client prefers.
Just adding that, about fiscal planning, I am not allowed also, as João was saying, to give financial fiscal advice to the clients. We are financial experts, financial advisors, and just to mention that most of the clients who came to us nowadays, most of the clients already have their fiscal lawyers. For instance, in Portugal, was talking about Brazil, other countries, but even in Portugal. That Portugal used to be a small market within, globally speaking, Portugal in terms of private banking used to be a small market, but nowadays this is somehow turning. We are in the turning point because that lots of foreigners are coming in with this NHR status. NHR stands for non-habitual residents. So with these all fiscal benefits that we have here in Portugal is attracting lots of foreigners, very high net worth individuals, and each of them has his own specific taxation in terms of fiscal needs. Because if you are Irish or British or US, it's a difficult. It's another picture. But because they have very particular, but we are receiving in Portugal lots of European people from several countries, as well as Brazilian people, and each of them has specific needs in terms of fiscal planning. So it's kind of tough for us to. Of course, we can help. We can direct them to the right person, to lawyers. That's why, and helping Miguel in the next question, that's why we need to each day broaden our network. It's one very, one point that we need to be very aware in this profession. We need every day after day, we need to broaden our network with the entrepreneurs, with the industry, with all the industry, all the financial services industries, real economy, as well as lawyers and all the people that could connect us with prospects, with the future clients. We of course can help clients to look for the right people to help them in terms of fiscal services better than us.
Yeah, I think Sandra was mentioning the question of how do you raise clients? How do you find prospect clients? And I can pose that question then.
That's the most difficult question. Yeah. Yeah, I think Miguel, you can't just start picking the phone and start calling people on the phone and say, do you want to be my client or do you want to open an account? I think that the building trust part is very important because and to build your network. People sometimes ask me, why do I travel? I travel to meet, most of the time, of course, I travel to meet clients, but I travel also to meet people. And in building your network, as I think Sandra mentioned exactly, how do you basically conquer clients? And you conquer clients like that. You travel, you meet people, you build trust. People recommend to you. I think, for example, I gave an interview to a magazine about 3 years ago, and they asked me, how do you basically, grow your client base in Task? And we said, we grow our client by, client through client. It's, I think that our client base sometimes is the one that brings us even more clients. It's the friend, it's the relative, it's someone he knows. Because as I said, you build relations, you build trust, and out of those relations, out of those trusts comes a recommendation, or comes, you should talk to that people, you should talk to that. And so, and sometimes it's funny because we are all competitors, we are all competitors. I'm a competitor of Sandra, I'm a competitor of Pedro, but we're in the industry. There's a lot of, sharing, let's say, clients also, because, for example, give a small example, for example, if I'm here at Task and all of a sudden there's a German client who comes in and say, João, I like you, and I was recommended to you by someone, and I'm German and I'm a Task fiscal resident in German. And for example, I can't take it due to FINMA regulations. I have to have my own countries, identify which are the countries that I can operate or not. And for example, Germany is one which I can't. And so, for example, if I would probably pick up the phone and phone someone that I know who's working with the German market, someone from the industry, and I would recommend that person to that client, to that prospective client. So, and why did I call that person, not the other one? Once again, it's about building your relationships, it's about building your network, it's about building your trust. And so sometimes, we conquer clients like that. We have new clients just because there was someone working in another bank that can't have that client or doesn't want that client. And so probably he will give us a recommendation, and all of a sudden I will get a call, and that being a lawyer, being, a consultant, being whatever. So, yeah.
So
go ahead.
Basically, the main source of new clients is the direct recommendation of clients that we already know of, or people that we know that make the recommendation. And then all of the network that we have, or some kind of partnership with lawyers or some other people that do some other services to the same kind of clients that we work with, and that we can have some kind of partnership, or basically if we have a good level of service, there is the normal recommendation of you or an institution to give them some help.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's the toughest part, but yeah, is as you both already talk about it. It's about building relationships. It's about broadening your network. It's about meeting people. Lawyers are good partners because they are, fiscal lawyers. For instance, lawyers within M&A, with lawyers that do M&A, because they always know and have good relationships with the sell and the buy within the M&A operation, so they know we're receiving a huge amount of money, and they can introduce us. Well, but there's a lot of work to do. It's always being. We need to be very aware of what's happening in the industry, in the economy, and the clients. If they trust us, maybe they will recommend us to their brothers, to their fathers, to their fathers-in-law, wherever. And it's all about building relationships in the end.
Thank you. Mikael Kriakidis, I hope I pronounced this correctly. I'm sure I didn't. Is asking a question. Basically, how do you get paid? How do you, it's like you get a commission by the amount of wealth managed? How do you get paid by your services?
I can start. Basically, we being a wealth manager, we are completely independent. So we basically get paid directly by the client. So we have a management fee or an advisory fee. So either the client has a discretionary mandate and he pays a management fee. Normally, the management fee is a fixed fee. A percentage fee for his total assets under management that we are managing. I would say it would vary between 0.10 basis points to 1%. I would say, being a fixed fee, and then that could be a variable fee. When I mean a variable fee, I mean of course a performance fee. For example, we are tasked. We don't have that many clients with performance fee. We tend to prefer the fixed fee. So I think our fees would probably go between 0.75 and 1% in the assets under management of the client. But then, of course, there are several models. There are clients who can have a fixed annual fee. It depends really on what services are you giving to the client. Is it just discretionary mandate? I think that's typically a fixed fee. Or is it an advisory service? And then is it the advisory for the whole portfolio, part of the portfolio? Are you also advising the client on the whole of the other portfolios that he has so we get paid directly by the client. We don't get paid by products. We don't get paid by banks or whatever. But of course, it's different if you're working in a wealth manager or if you're working in a bank like Sandra and Pedro.
Yeah. In a bank, it's not the same. So you're called a private banker because you act like a bank yourself, meaning that you have your P&L. You have, of course, within this relationship that you build with your clients, you need to sell your products that best fit the client's needs, of course, but you need to earn money, and the clients, of course, they know what they are paying for, and the banker on a daily basis knows what is earning with each client, with each product. In most of the banks, on a daily basis, if not on a daily basis, at a monthly basis at least, all the bankers know how much they are winning with each client, with each product, with each investment solution they are offering to their clients. In most of the banks, we have a fixed salary, and of course we have a bonus, a variable variable amount. That depends on the whole of your performance, meaning that of course your P&L is of course evaluated, as well as your NNAs, meaning that net new assets, because most of the bankers are having their objectives to earn more clients and more assets each year. So it's mainly this.
So just to complement, basically there are two ways to be paid. One is like João told us, that is basically if you have 1 million in the bank, you pay a fee of 0.75, 1% over the amount that you have on the bank, and it's normally a all-in or almost all-in fee. meaning that all of the other costs are included on that. The other way is basically you don't pay that fee and you pay product by product by the fee of the own products. Let's say that you buy a stock or a bond or an ETF, you are a brokerage fee. If you have a unit link or a fund, there is some management fee. If you have a credit line, you have obviously the cost of the credit. So it's a product by product, and with some all of the fees of all of the products, but there isn't that fee, that 0.75 or 1% or 0.5 or whatever on the whole portfolio. It's basically asset by asset.
But these are the fees the client pays. Yes, Pedro?
Yes, obviously.
Oh, no.
I think that was the question.
That was the question. I believe.
Okay. Oh, I missed. Okay.
That's fine,
So,
but your answer is also good because we understand all your salary is made, right?
oh, sorry. Because I was
question.
reading the question. Do you work on commission or on a retainer? I believe I thought it was the payment for the banker.
But yeah, okay, that's fine. But also, you started off by explaining a little bit as well the question. That's why I didn't interrupt. But it's fine. It's fine. Because I think what Mikael is trying to ask is, well, I think we both. Either way, we answer this question. It's fine.
You have both the answers, so either way.
Okay.
So I'm going to a different kind of question, which is I was to be a private banker in a world that has almost zero interest rates, and how does that changed in the last year or last couple of years with the rising interest rates?
Not anymore, Nia. That used to be 9 months ago, right? Okay.
What I asked, no, 9 months ago, the interest rates was near zero, but they have been
exactly
rising, right?
That was 9 months ago. Yeah, that was 9 months ago, of course.
So my question is, how was it before to advise clients in a near zero interest rate world, and what changed over the last year with the rising interest rates?
I'll start. I think in the US it has changed a lot because of at the moment you have 2-year interest rates above 4%. So that changes a lot, the risk premium, because basically you can have a client saying, why should I have a diversified portfolio if I can buy a US Treasury at 2 years paying me 4.3%, or I can have, let's say, a AA bond on a 2-3 years paying 5.5% because of the way that spreads are in the corporate sector on investment graded bonds. So being investment graded bonds above triple Bs. So I think, it gets tough. Our life gets tough, trying to basically say that having diversified portfolios makes sense, in the way that we are living today, not just because of the interest rate factor, because I would point out also because what happened this year, which is the correlation. I think, what is really bad this year to our business is that we have almost 100% correlation in almost every asset class and sub asset class in the market. So, there's no way you could escape, the hugely negative returns that you had this year so far. I would probably say that cash would be almost the safe asset, but it's not safe because you have inflation around 6-7%. So it's safe on one way, but it doesn't produce returns anyway. So yes, but I agree with you. It's different working on a 0% interest rates where basically you have to invest your money. You don't have that many alternatives, because deposits aren't paying anything. Very, very safe assets like in euros, bonds, or in dollars, treasuries, we're not paying that much. So I think our life was a bit easier back in those days, for that reason only. Now I'm not talking about the fact that markets are not performing very well this year, but I'm talking just about the interest rate factor, because that was your question. And when you have interest rates so high, like for example, I was giving the US example, but Europe, it's always starting. I don't believe that Europe will reach the US rates, but Europe is starting to increase rates already. And so we will live with that factor in the very short term also, which is clients saying, you know, why should I have a diversified portfolio if I can have, let's say, a Portuguese government bond? Of course, all of you will probably ask, is that safe or not? I will not comment on that. But if I have a Portuguese government bond paying 2.3% on a very short term. So yes, I think our life becomes a little bit more difficult with this scenario.
The question is, so yeah, go ahead.
Okay, just a quick comment on that. Basically, we started with these close to zero interest rates several years ago, and at least here in Portugal, we have a large part of our clients that are very conservative, and basically they stood still in cash or close to cash for some time. But this is inherent to all the people. Nobody likes not to have a return on their money, and they started to increase the equity portion of their portfolios gradually. Up to
which performed really well, right? Which performed
really well and went really well until the COVID. Okay. Fortunately, with the COVID, the majority of the clients kept their investments, and it was a very short fall, and the recovery was very quick. Right, and they kept it basically until the beginning of the year, and then on the beginning of the year, the most conservative clients with the starting of the war, or at least some of them, redeem their positions. Right now, and basically through these 9 months, yes, the interest rates were rising, but any investment in bonds or fixed income basically was losing money until now. Okay, so it will basically depend on the evolution on inflation in interest rates from now on to at least the short-term evolution of those assets. What is happening right now is that, like João said, looking at a possible return on a 5-year bond of 4.5%, 5%, 5.5% with a good name, or a short-term return of 3% on a 2-year, 3-year bond. For those clients that are more conservative, right now they are starting to have options to be on a much more conservative portfolio than what they had before this increase in the interest rate. So we are starting to look at that change in terms of allocation between stocks and bonds, exactly because right now the return on the bond side, for the first time in the last 8 years or 9 years or something like that, it's effectively starting to have nice returns.
And just adding that, beyond all the horrible financial markets that we had this year, the thing is that we need to, for sometimes in our lives with our clients, we need to deal with emotions, and it's very tough. There's a chapter that I liked the most, not the most, but I liked it particularly either in the CFA. There is about behavioral finance, you know, because the clients are tied to because they buy at 100 and they are not willing to buy at 90. They need to sell at 100. And well, when the markets are losing, wow, double digits, as João was saying, the correlation's broken this year. Everything, yields were rising, equity markets were, wow. So everything was losing 10, 15, 20, and Nasdaq 30%. So it was horrible. So our job, our mission is emotional, is like helping the clients, doing therapy, because, you know, it's best to time in the market is preferable than timing the market. There's no way for any of us to have the crystal ball and to pretend that timing the market is very hard. It's a hard job. It's tough. So you need to be invested in the market, and the message for all this year is to convince the clients that you need to look for a medium-term horizon. You need to go, on holidays, and that you need to keep your positions, because if, of course, I'm talking about wealthy people or high net worth individuals. Of course, it's different if you need your money to buy a house or to, in a short-term horizon. But if you don't need your wealth, you need to keep your positions and, well, wait for a better environment, better days. Wait for the central banks do the job we are all hoping them to do, and that's it. So lots of times we need to deal with their emotions, and we need to help them, doing the right thing, which sometimes is sell the positions, but in these environments, the best advice is to, if they are very well diversified, and if they are in the risk return profile, that fits them perfectly. So our tough mission is to convince them to look for a medium term.
Sounds very challenging. Sounds the most challenging part was that one, at least from my perspective. And now that you mentioned, how did the CFA, how does becoming, how having become a CFA helped you in your career? Anyone who wants to answer? Both all three of you are CFAs.
Well, it's a very complete. I shall start, but I'll be quick. It's a very you need to be very well prepared for lots of experts beyond emotions. You need to be very well prepared for the most sophisticated clients who might be asking you about private equity, for instance, or about some structured products with more complexity. So the thing is, you need to have your skills, your hard skills, very well. You need to get very good technical preparation. But beyond that, I believe that for this profession, you also need to have the soft skills, the right skills. You need to, because you are dealing with people, so soft skills are also needed. Of course, CFA. For me, it was a pleasure to do it, and it gave us a very good preparation in terms of hard skills, but soft skills are also needed.
Okay,
yeah.
and
Sandra, I think.
Now the CFA did
No,
help you.
Sorry, I'll just compliment what Sandra said, which is basically in this sector, you can't take things for granted. You have to ask questions yourself. You have to ask questions yourself. What exactly is that? And, and I'm talking about products, I'm talking about markets, I'm talking about the way the markets behave. And so you just can't work in a place where someone tells you, this is how it works, you should do this or that. And so I think what CFA basically help us is basically giving you the grounds, the basic grounds, basically thinking a little bit out of the box and be able to go a little bit more analytic and go a little bit more far in terms of, knowing exactly what you're doing, know exactly the way you are advising your client, and knowing things in detail. So if a client asks you, okay, look, I have my portfolio in dollars, and I'm a euro based, and I have my portfolio in dollars, and I want to cover my portfolio that the dollar is going to fall, and you're able to explain the various alternatives he can do. Should we sell the dollars? Should we hedge the dollars with a forward, with an option? And exactly, you just don't know the basic concept. You know exactly how it works. How the instrument works. And I think, well, basically, CFA gives you, it gives you the capability because you spend so many hours studying, you spend so many hours looking at examples, you know, doing the maths and, you know, studying for the exam, studying from all the books and all so I think it gives you, it enlarges your capability, you know, in terms of looking a little bit outside the box. So sometimes you question yourself, you know, should I invest in that? Should I take that option or not? And I think that the CFA gives you, complements you. It's not because you're a good professional if you have a CFA or not, because there are many other courses in the market, many other in the market which you can take it other than CFA. But I think the CFA gives you that ability to go a little bit in more detail, and you have, let's say, you build more options in order to understand exactly, you know, if you're doing the right recommendation or if you're doing the right analysis. And for the client, I think for me that was very important.
Just to also complement, so like João and Sandra said, the trust of the client is probably our most important asset that we have, and being technically prepared is fundamental to, in a conversation with the client, for him to have the sensation and the feeling that you are prepared, you know what you are talking about, and that builds trust. So that is very important. On the other hand, looking at the career path, and because most people that are listening to us are students, if anyone wants to go abroad, let's say to Luxembourg, to Switzerland, to the US, to the UK, CFA, it's a globally known certification, and that is a quality stamp that you have everywhere in the world. So much more important, well, you can have a degree here on one of the top schools, it's important obviously, but if you want to go abroad, the certification, the CFA certification will open much more doors than just having the degree.
Pedro, let me, I think you touched a very important thing, and let me just highlight this with just a very, very small example. In 2011, I was invited by the bank I was working to set up a wealth manager in Luxembourg. And most of you know, well, most of you here, the students don't know, but most of you know that the Luxembourg regulator is very tough. It's one of the main, I've worked in Luxembourg, I work now in Switzerland, and I've worked in Portugal also. CMVM is also very restricted and very tough in terms of the way they analyze things and the requests they have. But we were setting up a wealth manager, and I was the CIO, the chief investment officer of that wealth manager. And so we were setting up, we were building the case, and we had a meeting with CSSF, and basically we went to the point which they were talking about certification, you know, about the management team, about the relationship managers. And when they touched the investment part, you know, basically they said, okay, who's the responsible of the investments? And I was there in the meeting. I said, it's me, and I'll be the CIO. And said, okay, you know, we have your CV. What's your background? And you know, I was starting to talk about my background. And I said, you know, I'm a CFA shareholder. And they looked at me and said, oh, you're a CFA shareholder. Okay, then you know, it's okay. You don't need to take anything specifically. So you don't need to take any kind of information or any kind of, you know, other certifications that normally in foreign countries you need. And as you said, in Portugal, I get asked a lot of times, what is those 3 letters that you have on your email signature on your card? But I don't get those questions abroad. I don't get these questions here in Switzerland or UK or in France. So I'll highlight what you exactly said, Pedro. A CFA charter holder, when you go to very deep and important financial markets like UK, like France, like Switzerland, even Spain, Madrid, which is a very important financial, or US, the CFA charter holder is basically a visit card, you know, an important visit card. It actually opens some doors, and it facilitates sometimes your work in some ways.
Thank you very much. We're almost running out of time. One of the questions is, what advice would you give to people that want to, just mainly for students, want to pursue a career in private banking? What skills do they need? What they need to do to get a job in private banking? Should they try to do something else like portfolio management before going to private banking? What advice would you give?
Okay, I can start with this one and trying to be quick. So there are basically two pathways to reach the private banking position. The one is the most traditional. You start on a, let's say, retail bank, then you go to the affluent, and then reach the private banking clients. Okay, step by step, and take that path. Another way, and probably all of the people that are here follow that path, is going through the asset management or a more technical area, and then making the bridge with the private banking. Okay, it basically gives you a more broad. You are more educated in terms of the financial assets, and you can transpire a little bit more your understanding of all the assets and the financial the managing of the financial assets and so on. So basically there is these two pathways.
Okay.
I agree with you. It's a very hard question if you want to, what is exactly the best way. I did it the way you said, Pedro, which is I started all my career in asset management. And after asset management, you start to communicate with clients, you start to have meetings with clients, and you start to know people, and then you build your network. And all of a sudden you realize that, it's very easy to take the step into being a private banker. But then I also realized that sometimes you also miss some skills, which is the more sales skills, because basically when you're a private banker, you're a salesman. Like, you're a salesman in every profession, but I tend to say that when you start your career in asset management, your sales skills are a little bit left behind. And sometimes when you acquire new clients, I think you miss some of those skills. So I'm not saying that will be the best way to be a private banker, but as you said, you have to, you don't start private banking just after you left college, or after you just left university. You have to build your skills, and going to the banking sector, going to the wealth management sector, maybe starting as an assistant private banking or a junior private banking or whatever, inside a team where basically your first years will probably be not very interesting years, because basically you'll do a lot of back office and middle office work, but you will start to build your skills, and I think the most important thing is, you have to invest in yourself. You have to read stuff, you have to go to seminars, you have to participate in every kind of meetings, being asset management meetings, being fiscal things, fiscal laws, because, for example, that's a thing we didn't touch in this is all to do about, regulation and compliance, because, since at least I'm the oldest here, but since I started my career, a lot has changed in the last 27 years since I'm working in this industry.
My time. Yeah.
Okay.
You said everything, but yeah, be prepared. Hard skills, study, be prepared. The CFA doesn't, put you inside the organization, but these 3 letters open doors. So it's a very good first step for you to have. And then, wow, I've started my career in a corporate. In a corporate company in the dealing room, and then I moved to a bank. I worked with João in a bank in the north, in the asset management side, and then the banker brought me to the meetings because I was the portfolio manager of the client. And you start to build relations. You start, and in the end, you see, wow, I have my network. I have several clients that trust me, that consider my opinions, and that's it. I'm ready to be a banker, but we need to invest in ourselves. Grab this idea, because you need to be prepared, and things then, I believe, happen, but you need to be prepared, because this is a profession that touches lots of features within the financial markets, as well as dealing with people. That's it, I believe. And yeah, there's another option. I know very good bankers that started as assistant bankers, because as João was saying, in middle office or back office, but there's lots of banks who are hiring, or because it's very important for us to have a very good assistant, because our job is to be with the client, visiting clients. I travel every week to Portugal, to the north, to Algarve, everywhere. And sometimes clients or give me instructions, or I have meetings by phone, and I need to pass the instructions to I need to delegate, and I need to trust the person who works with me very hard. And so it's very important for the bankers to have very good and very well prepared assistant bankers. And well, in the end, most of them happen to be bankers. So, well, my very last message is be prepared. Invest in ourselves, in yourselves in this case.
Thank you. Before finishing, because we are already over time, I just want to mention the question of Gabriel. I cannot read the last name, it's cut in my screen. Gabriel apparently worked in Brazil in private banking, as a private banker, and now is living in Porto. Is asking about how important is the CFA certification. Will it help to achieve a job in private banking? I'm sure it will help a lot. My personal answer, I think it will help even more if in cases in which you want to work with people that are CFAs, right? For example, I know that PPI, there's a lot of, which is based in Porto, there's a lot of CFAs, especially therefore, I think it's very, very important to have the CFA. And not only because of the knowledge, because it's a stamp in your CV, like João Caiano mentioned, I think it was João Caiano or maybe Pedro, I think both mentioned actually, all over the world, it is recognized all over the world. So, and definitely it's really important. Unfortunately, the time is over. I guess we could continue to speak for hours. There would be more questions to make, but I think that the most important questions are made, and the answers were amazing. I want to thank everyone again. First of all, the three guests, Pedro, João, and Sandra, and of course the attendees. And again, I would encourage all attendees to take the CFA and to become a member of the institute and of the local society. If you're living in Portugal, we have events both in Lisboa and in Porto. Actually, in Porto, it's gaining a lot of traction. We're having more and more events there. So it's a great way to meet people. And again, if you pass the level 1, you can already become a member. And there's other, if you look at the website, there's other alternatives to become a member of the CFA. One is like I mentioned, the standard of practice exam. Sorry, not a CFA, a member of the CFA Institute in Local Society, which is one is the standards of practice exam, which should be a shorter path than the CFA level 1. Well, again, thank you all. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I see you guys in future events of the CFA, of CFA Portugal.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Thank you.
Thank you very much.